He can either stand with us or with the child pornographers.
You change the people in charge, but you also have to change the system.
Canada's budget watchdog threatens to take the government to court.
Scientists can be a real problem, especially when they're unwanted.
And with that, welcome to the next section of Stephen Harper's Nightmare as Radio Free Canada counts down the best of 2012 gaffes and glories brought to us by our dictatorial leader. I am Darren Howard, bringing you my opinion as protected under Section 2 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
And my name is Robert Nisbet. I am presenting media that is protected under international fair use copyright law.
Of course, we are out-of-the-box thinkers, so if you're one of those people who believes that McDonald's is a restaurant,
or that CHBC is the news,
then stop listening now. Please don't get on our Facebook wall and say that we suck. You're a conservative-minded individual. You're an in-the-box thinker. You're not one of us, because we are so far outside the box, we don't even know where it is. We're looking for it on Google Maps right now, and we cannot find it. Not that we're looking that hard. Of course, we have been making fun of Stephen Harper for 15 minutes, and let's do it again.
Well, we always have a politician who has no idea how the internet actually works.
Yeah, politicians and news companies, for some reason, don't know how the internet works. Let's show them how it works. Let's bring us a reason to smile.
Good evening. Huge reaction this week to the introduction of the Tories' cyber crime bill. The most controversial statement in defense of the bill came from Safety Minister Vic Toews himself.
He can either stand with us or with the child pornographers.
Wow. That's harsh. If I don't agree to give up my privacy, I support child porn. In a word, no! But to be fair, Toews has a reputation for not knowing what he's talking about. Take a look at this clip from last year when he spoke about G20 spending.
Well, quite frankly, I don't even know what a glow stick is.
So if Vic Toews doesn't know what glow sticks are, which are sticks that glow, how is he able to wrap his mind around the incredibly complicated issues around privacy and internet surveillance? Here's what Toews admitted on Saturday about the bill.
This is the first time that I'm hearing that this somehow extends ordinary police emergency powers. In my opinion, it doesn't, and it shouldn't.
The first time he's hearing about the bill he's been preparing for years? Toews was subject to a ton of backlash on the internet, but he said he wasn't bothered by it. That's because he doesn't understand what the internet is. We're still waiting for a clip where Vic Toews says, whoa, I'm a safety minister?
Oh, and don't forget, Vic Toews got his 17-year-old babysitter pregnant way back when.
I forget what his wife had to say about that.
What did Vic Toews' wife have to say about him getting the 17-year-old pregnant?
Could somebody out there find out, post that on our wall?
Yeah, see if CBC covered the story. Maybe post it on CTV's Facebook wall. Wait a second. They're adversive to facts. They don't like it when you put other facts.
Oh, right. We've had experience with them before. That's
yeah, actually, I got kind of kicked off of the CBC site for pointing out the fact that royalty is not news, and people are going hungry in our country.
Yeah.
But, far be it from me to point out logic.
And not just our country, but...
The Stephen Harper has been doing shenanigans, and let's consider some of the shenanigans that our robocall leader has gotten himself into.
Well, didn't he say he was going to be accountable?
Accountable. Remember the word accountable when watching this clip.
Hundreds of millions of dollars go missing and no one's in jail.
Well, look who's in charge. I mean, these guys can't even tell the difference between right and wrong.
Okay, we've got a question.
It's like you get to Ottawa and no one can touch you. How will you change that?
You change the people in charge, but you also have to change the system. The first thing I'll do is pass the Federal Accountability Act. It's a real plan to clean up government.
Stand up for Canada.
Oh my goodness. It's hard enough trying to listen to the guy, right? But still, there he is saying, look at who's in charge. And
That's when he was talking about the Liberals.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
But we've got our own budgetary officer suing them.
Yes, I know.
For accountability. Like the guy who audits the part. Okay, sorry.
They're making it very hard for him to do his job. And he was appointed to make them accountable. That just makes me crazy.
Okay, so the Harper government appoints this guy to make the government accountable, and then they block this guy from making him accountable.
Forcing him to go to court. Here's the clip.
Canada's budget watchdog threatens to take the government to court. Kevin Page says the government is illegally withholding information and he is willing to fight for it. The parliamentary budget officer, a pillar in the Federal Accountability Act brought in by the Harper government. His mandate is to provide independent analysis of this country's finances. Kevin Page is the first to fill that position, and his reports have not always been, shall we say, popular with the Harper government, that's to say the least. But now that has moved to a whole new level. 66 government departments have refused to give Page the details of the cuts mandated in the last budget. Page says he has a legal right to know. The government disagrees, and Page is now threatening to take the matter to court.
And of course, we're going to be covering this story because
it's so juicy.
I mean, it's like I'm sitting there going, this guy's auditing. Last year, same problem. This year, same problem. F-35s, okay. It's going to cost $50 million to close down a $5 million program.
Oh, the Experimental Lakes program.
Yeah, there's an Experimental Lakes program that on our previous show. It's going to cost $50 million to shut down a $5 million a year program.
Yeah, that just makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
It's like I'm taking crazy pills here. Okay?
No wonder we have a deficit.
Remember, when the Liberals were in charge, we had a surplus, then they blew $50 billion on us. Budget cuts. Is this what's on? Do you want to do this?
This is part of the budget, isn't it?
Okay, let's do it.
Well, one of Canada's largest unions is accusing the RCMP of grounding a small plane for political reasons. The Public Service Alliance of Canada hired the plane to fly this banner over Ottawa on the weekend. It reads, in French, "Stephen Harper hates us." Now, the union has flown the banner several times in the past month, but PSAC says this time the plane was grounded because the RCMP said the banner could constitute hate speech and a threat to the Prime Minister. Now, the RCMP deny being behind the plane's grounding, but the incident underscores the pressure that unions are feeling as governments and companies look to cut costs.
In 2010, 4.2 million Canadians belonged to a union. In 2011, more joined, bringing the number up to 4.3 million. But the unionization rate in Canada is dropping from 33.7% in 1997 to 31.2% in 2011. Federally, the Harper government is taking a tough stance as part of austerity cuts. It will cut more than 29,000 public sector jobs between now and 2015. And as the tough economic times continue, so too will the pressure on unions. Robin Gill, Global News, Vancouver.
And tough on unions is not the word for it. Right here in Canada, you know that unions are under fire all the time. They're getting vilified by the news all the time. You never hear both sides of this story, the way that unions are vital elements of our economy.
They're trying to kill good jobs in the whole Western world.
And replace them with Mick jobs.
Yes.
Okay.
The good jobs they want to send to China.
But remember their logic, okay? They're going to reduce services, but improve efficiency.
How does that work?
This is logic now. Now, you'd think that these guys had any brain cells whatsoever right now. Okay, budget. Austerity measures, apparently shipping all of our raw resources out of the country without processing them and benefiting.
It's supposed to be good for our economy.
Yeah, you did it right that time with the finger quotes.
I'm learning the routine now.
Yeah, the finger quotes. The economy was supposed to be impressive because of trade. But now we find out it's a different story.
And, of course, we're doing our best to get into new trade deals around the world.
Okay.
And this is one that's really concerning.
We love our country.
So much that we've decided to share it with a special friend.
The Canada-China Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement. A new era of prosperity for Chinese state-owned energy companies.
And Canadian families.
Sure, look forward to a vast influx of capital in sectors like the oil sands, mining, telecom, and the oil sands. And to protect their investments, these companies can sue any level of government over any law that gets in the way of maximum profits.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
For the economy.
Exactly. And don't worry, you won't have to know about these lawsuits. They'll be dealt with in secret international tribunals by professional arbitrators, not meddlesome Canadian judges. Signed September 9th in Vladivostok, Russia, this FIPA is due to become law November 1st.
Why haven't we heard anything about this?
International treaties, far too important for time-wasting, job-killing parliamentary debate.
But this isn't democracy.
Who would do that?
The China-Canada FIPA, superseding future Canadian laws, binding and irrevocable for a minimum of 31 years. FIPA! You'll be your parents' age by the time it's done!
Now, those guys, okay, deprogram.
Yeah.
We cover those guys. We cover Rick Mercer, of course. We've got a clip for him coming up. 22 minutes. What else do we have? Oh, Mark Fiore.
Mark Fiore, yeah.
You know, when you're covering all the guys who really make fun really well,
it's political satire that really talks about the news.
And, they do a better job, just like The Daily Show. They do a better job of covering the news than the news does of covering the news.
Well, the mainstream media is becoming more and more irrelevant all the time.
Yes, infotainment. Of course, we've got some major things coming up on Radio Free Canada. We've got Police Brutality 2012 wrapping up also. We've got a major thing to release on that on YouTube coming up. We've got Municipal Sustainability coming up from Radio Free Canada.
And the Sensible Policing Act, dealing with marijuana legalization.
Sensible BC. SensibleBC.ca. Get on there, debate it, get informed about what's going on. But one thing I am saying right now that kind of surprises people is that we're sending links to this to our city council right here in Kelowna because we're warning them. We're saying, hey, this is how much attention we're paying to our glorious dictatorial leader. Imagine when we turn our sights on you in 2013.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. I can see Walter Gray, Walter Gray, one of the reasons why I'm doing this so astutely is the fact that Walter Gray told me to have integrity, speak the truth, no matter who was listening.
Well, he should be careful what he says.
What do you got for me, brother?
Oh, we got Mr. Mercer talking about our Harper government's policy towards science.
Thanks for tuning in. It's so cool. Let's run this.
Scientists can be a real problem, especially when they're unwanted. That's when you need to call in the experts.
Call VMO Scientist Pest Control.
Scientists aren't just harmless know-it-alls, they're invasive. They can quickly disseminate their knowledge to the media, making life a nightmare for government. Luckily, there's PMO Scientist Pest Control.
Call VMO Scientist Pest Control.
We spray pesky scientists with a unique anti-science dogma goo that will keep them quiet. That leaves scientists out of the media and you safe and secure. We cover all kinds of scientists.
Environmental, food inspection, fisheries and oceans, and many more. Think you may have a scientist problem? Look at your baseboards. If you see evidence of data, projections, or findings, you may have scientists.
Let our experts spray the eggheads before they hatch their objective analysis and spread their considered opinions.
Don't let science wreak havoc on your agenda.
Call VMO Scientist Pest Control.
It's so much fun working around here. We've got stuff like that. We get to make fun of our glorious leader.
Well, you can't have scientists upsetting that fascist apple cart that Harper likes to ride in.
You said the word. We're going to be talking about fascism, the way that our parents used to shoot fascists and get rid of them that way. My parents, anyways. I'm a baby boomer. And the way that, of course, everyone seems to be putting up with fascism, and we do not know why.
And we'll also be talking about the further and further eroding of the mainstream media's values.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about mainstream misses, and we're going to be talking about all those things that constitute journalism. So please stay tuned as Radio Free Canada's 2012 wrap-up continues. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet. We'll see you soon.